and that should be it sent over to you.
All right. So what am I looking? Oh my God. This is exactly what your podcast is like.
Exactly. I'm going to have to start doing it.
Right.
Okay, welcome everybody to M.a.N Muscles and Nonsense. My name's Thomas. I am the host. Whatever you want to call me, that's who I am. I am here today with David, who to me is, we were just laughing off screen about. I just know him as Dem PT. David is a coach that works with a wide range of people. From my perspective, he works with extremely busy and very successful males, and we're going to try and talk a little bit about that today. But he's a great guy. I met him down on a course down in Birmingham, him and his partner Robin. But yeah, I'm going to let you, David, talk a little bit, tell us a little bit about yourself and potentially your journey to becoming a personal trainer. And then we're just going to talk, my man.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you for having me here. So I got into this whole thing like not even long ago, about 5 years ago. And originally I wanted to do a PT course back in Hungary, where I'm from. But it would have taken 2 years there, and it takes only 2 months in the UK. You don't learn anything in either of the places. So why not just do it quicker? So I decided to come out here to do it. And then I was meant to go back, and I never did, because I got a pretty good job at a prestigious gym. So I started working for them, and then life just happened, and now I've been here for 5 years.
And you're back in Hungary just now, right?
No.
Are you still in London?
I'm still here, flying out on Saturday.
You're still in London?
Yeah.
That's cool. And what is the gym called that you train from?
Ultimate Performance.
Ultimate Performance.
Yeah, big chain of personal training gyms. Mad prices, mad results as well. Not necessarily results that can stick with people on the long run, but they love putting them in pictures to do a before after, and then no one cares about the after.
Yeah. I guess that's a big thing in the industry, though, like on an absolute whole. And you made a point there that I think we definitely talk about. It's crazy how there's no minimum standard for personal training, eh? Like
zero, considering how high the risks are, or how easily you can mess up people. There's no entry barrier. And considering like how much certain people listen to trainers, even they don't qualify enough. Like people sign up with just anyone, do all the stupid shit that they're told, do loads of damage, spend a lot of money, all for nothing, right?
Yeah. I think it's nuts. So. Why is the course so long back in Hungary?
I don't know. It's just the education system is done in a similar way as secondary school. It's not that you learn anything, honestly.
That's cool. That's cool that it's a bit longer, but I suppose if you're not learning any more, it's like you say.
No, exactly.
Condense it down. I'm going to come back to Hungary because I actually had a Hungarian client who she lived in my town for a little while. But so, with regards, so how old are you actually, David?
28.
28.
You're 34. 4. Okay.
34, yeah.
Well, you look 28 and I look 34, so.
No way, man. No way. So that was 5 years you've been a PT.
Yeah.
And at 23, what was it that made you decide you wanted to become a personal trainer?
I did an economics degree in Hungary, and I was just sitting in a dark room in front of my computer and messing around in Excel. And I really hated it, so I was like, okay, let's try something else. And I always wanted to help people. It's weird that I ended up helping like the top 0.1% of the population, because I didn't only want to help them, but at least I have a job that's meaningful, kind of, so that makes me happy.
Yeah. Totally. That's cool. So with regard to sport, exercise and fitness, I actually scrolled back on your Instagram.
Okay.
And you started off being very into calisthenics, right?
Yes. Oh, you stalker.
Well, mate, I had to have a look back, because this is the thing. Like, the people that I'm inviting on are people that I know, but I don't know very well. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's just nice to get to know someone. It's nice to chat. And the feedback that I've been getting, people are liking us just talking. So I had a little look back, and I try and find if there's anything that I could maybe bring up. If I don't know, the last guy, I brought up some stuff that I was going to try and embarrass him, but I didn't. Fetch, what a man, great guy as well. So, what was that just a hobby, the calisthenics, or was there like a long term goal with that?
Yeah, it was kind of a hobby. I was always extremely skinny, so I was smarter than average. My mouth was bigger than average, and way skinnier than average. So I always got beaten up. So I wanted to change that. I wanted to like bulk up a bit. So I started just training with the guys in the park, basically. My mom didn't want me to go to the gym, which I think it's a mistake. So I got all my injuries I currently have. That's all from bodyweight training. And I was doing that for quite a while. I got to nice landmarks, achievements, I don't know. Like doing one arm pull-ups, like handstand
I
push-ups
seen
without the
that.
wall a couple. Yeah. So that was pretty cool, but after a while you kind of run out of movements. Loading capability is limited. You can't really progressively overload much. You have to be like smart about it, and even then sometimes it's a big jump. So I started going to the gym, and that's how I stuck with that in the end.
So was the gym like a progression to? Was that just like a way to progress the calisthenics, or was it like this is limited and I'm just going to transition over?
More of a progression to evolve further. Not that I maxed out
Yeah,
calisthenics, but it was easier to make incremental gains in the gym than with bodyweight.
yeah, yeah. I do a bit of training with a gymnast, and that was pretty much what got him into the gym.
Oh,
He
right.
was like, I'm just not strong enough, I'm just not explosive enough for stuff. So he came over to do, because we used to do a lot more strength and conditioning stuff to like the bodybuilding stuff that I do now.
How old were
Okay,
you when you
so
started?
was it once when I started? So I've like
Yeah.
played sport my whole life, but I started doing my personal training stuff when I was about 21, and then the guy that was doing I'm pretty lucky. Like my personal training course was like an SVQ, which is like a Scottish qualification, and then they've done away with that. Like they've I don't know why, but they've stopped doing that. So we had college lecturers teach us. I got like a college lecturer. There was even a woman that had a PhD in physiology,
Okay.
and she took our stuff. And then the guy that was the lead of it, a guy called Chris Simpson, who I'm hopefully going to get on here, he ended up being my mentor. Like I asked, because he was a slim dude, like he was in good shape. He was in good shape, and he started just banging out pull-ups like it was nothing. And I was like, how do you do that? And I asked him, and he was like, come along. And then I got into strength and conditioning, and I was pretty fortunate. Like he worked for the Institute of Sport Scotland, so that was like I was like into strength and conditioning, and then we worked from there. And that must have been about 20. It must have been about 21, 22.
And that's when you
So
started the gym as well?
so I went to the gym in high school when I was like 16, 17.
Nice.
Yeah, but I just done a lot of like, it was more basketball specific. Like I wanted to be able to dunk, and I wanted big shoulders.
Okay.
Like, because in basketball you wear a vest, I was like, I need to have like
Yeah.
big shoulders. So I just done loads of side delt raises, but I would have been like,
Okay, what was the number one body part that you trained back then?
probably my abs, to be honest.
Abs. Okay.
No, probably my abs. Yeah, I used to do a lot of setups.
What was the least trained body part?
Probably my chest.
And what's your strongest and weakest body part now?
My chest's my weakest. My abs are probably my best.
So annoying. So
Because I got
to anyone, go on.
no, go for it.
To anyone listening, whatever you train when you're like 17 to 19 is what you will never ever have to train again. I've played this game with so many people.
Yeah.
What they like training as like teenagers and a little bit above, that's what develops amazingly. And you need to do very little to maintain it. So that's why the only muscle I have is chest. I just used to do a lot of push-ups and dips, and that's it.
yeah, I used to just do, because I when I was growing up, I was like, right, I want 6-pack. I've just got to do sit-ups. I've just got to keep doing sit-ups, and nothing changed. And I eventually was just like, forget it. I'm just not going to bother doing it anymore. And so many people told me like, oh, you need to dial your nutrition in. And I'll tell you what, there's a funny photo somewhere. I think it's maybe on Facebook. I've got like 2 liters of like full fat milk, a tin of tuna, and like 8 eggs. Because someone said to me, you need to start getting more protein. And I was like,
Oh my God.
I'll just eat nothing but protein then.
That's how I started as
That
well.
didn't last long.
I had zero concept of calories. I just eat it kind of clean. Polyquin style.
Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't go very well, to be honest.
So see, since you're like 5 years ago, once you got your personal training qualification, tell us about more about like the education side that you've gone through, because I knew when I sat next to you at the, what were they called again? Muscle Mentors course in Birmingham. I knew you were intelligent. Like I knew you were. And that was why I kind of hovered around, because I was like, he's intelligent, I'm not. I'm just going to ask him all the questions.
That's not true at all. But so I was lucky enough that at Ultimate Performance, where we started, it was pretty intelligent people. They were deep into RTS mostly, the management. Do you know RTS? Resistance training specialist. So
that's it.
yeah, I think the lead guy in RTS used to be the biomechanist for NASA, maybe. And I learned a lot from there. And then after I left UP, I did a bunch of courses. I did a lot with Muscle Mentors. I was coached by Luke Hoffman. And then I did a bunch of other courses as well. A lot around mechanics, and then some around other topics, functional, nutrition.
Yeah. Do you know what? I would love to dive into biomechanics and talk a bit more about mechanics, but if I'm honest, I don't know. And I've messaged you before talking about the use of it. So maybe there's stuff that we could talk about. But my dissertation at uni was a biomechanics dissertation.
Right. Okay, you did a degree in the.
I done applied sport exercise science.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. And like I say, my dissertation was on biomechanics, but I had no clue what I was doing. Like none.
Okay.
Like I had up these programs and I was having to like measure joint angles, and I just started to find out that like, because what I cared about was like, what's the best thing that the person needs to do and what should they try and avoid. I didn't care about the joint angles. Like there was a girl within my group, she was like fascinated by, oh, that angle leads to this, which leads to this. And I was like, I just want to know what the best performance is. Like I don't want to know all these. And she was like, no, I love them. And after that, like the lecturer I had, his name's Paul Swinton. He's like Elon Musk almost. Like, you know, when like I would talk to him, I'd be like, look, Paul, I don't honestly understand what I'm doing. And he'd be like, go and read these journals. And I was like, honestly, I've read them. And his response was, read them again.
Amazing.
It's like, mate, I don't understand what I'm even reading. And he was just like, just read it again. And I was like, fuck, all right. Oh. But yeah, I'm pretty crap with biomechanics, if I'm honest. It is something that does interest me, but it's more for the outcome.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense?
I'm not sure if it's a podcast topic because it's hard to talk about force angle and moment arms in a podcast. But
yeah,
I came along that whole curve again when initially I didn't really care about it, and then I went to the point where everything has to be super optimal in biomechanics, and now I'm just kind of like again at the point where I think just kind of like know how to not do damage to yourself or to your clients. So have a basic understanding, but ultimately those little optimizations maybe take more fun out of the whole process and maybe cost more time than how much benefit they yield.
Yeah. So again, I have to do this from time to time, David. People that are listening, biomechanics is it's about human movement, I believe. I'm gonna probably butcher this. It's about, I think, the forces that get put on the body. So things like, is it like torque?
Yeah, so basically it's the mechanics of the human body. And And if you think about it, our bodies are just a bunch of levers, the bones, and then there are a bunch of muscles attaching on them, and those muscles act on different joints and different bones in different way, and it's just
Yeah.
kind of like that.
Yeah. That's way better than I would have been able to bloody describe it. But like, so an interesting thing, and this is what kind of threw me off. That same Paul Swinton that I'm talking about, who loves biomechanics, he probably one of the most intelligent things I've ever said in my life. I put my hand up and I was like, "What about variation in technique? Like, surely that then sort of makes biomechanics almost invalid." And he was like, "It's interesting." He was like, "I'm going to do a PhD on that." And then I was like, "Whoa, I know something smart." And then we just moved on because I think we were talking about like a basketball jump shot.
Okay.
And I was like, but it's not the same every time, so how can you then... And he was like, yeah, I'm going to do a PhD research study on that. But I think he was going to do it on the deadlift or something, because he was a big power lifter.
Right. So
But yeah,
talking about the biomechanics when it comes to like basketball and like dynamically throwing a ball and pretty much so many joints in your body taking place versus looking at the dumbbell press, very different, right?
yeah, totally. But yeah, like you, another thing that you said there as well, like what I started to feel like when I was at uni was we're focusing so much on these like little points of data and ignoring the entire athlete.
Mm-hmm.
We're caring more about like what we do, whereas these athletes are like the special humans. They're the Olympians. They're the professionals, and we're worrying about like what's the best program to get like a significant. And I was like, this doesn't really make sense. So like, it does make sense, and I get it, and there's definitely a lot of value there.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I am completely science. Like everything that I do is science supported, but I felt that what was happening was almost like an arrogance that was like, well, we know all this information. We know how to do this and this and this. And I was like, but you can't kick a ball as well as that person. You can't jump as high as that person. I was like, so what? We're missing something. Like we should just be like, right, let's help you. And the fortunate thing for me was my mentorship with Chris Simpson was completely just technique. It was watching, technique, making sure things were safe. Mm-hmm. And it was just like a practical eye thing. So when I came to uni and it was like, right, what are the numbers to it? And I was like, I could get them to do it better just by talking to them. Would that help? And they're like, no, unfortunately. Right. But it is what it is. So see, when you started your personal training, I'll again, because I don't have too much to talk about mechanics, I'd rather you got to speak to someone that was better at it than me anyway. What, like, once you started personal training, you were at Ultimate Performance. What were the next steps? Because you currently run your own product, Anti-Fragile. What were the steps from Ultimate Performance to where you are now?
Well, after I left UP, I started working for someone that was a bit more senior to me in UP and kind of was doing his own thing. It was still kind of like working for UP. And then finally I decided to leave, do my own thing. And I did that like 1 month before COVID kicked off. So that was exciting. And I had to figure out how to do everything while making a living without breaking the contract, the non-compete, and doing the whole thing online. So what was the question?
So what was it from Ultimate Performance to Anti-Fragile? Was there any other products or was there any like PT names or branding or anything?
Right. So I feel like Ultimate Performance is just like very one-sided results, 12 weeks, and then they don't, as I said, no one cares about the after. And the more I kept doing that, both for UP and then for the other guy afterwards, the more I saw the issues with it. And basically Anti-Fragile became everything that I learned not to do with clients through UP mostly. So mostly a slower process. When someone is in an ideal position to go fast and get the result fast, we obviously do that. But I know now that with some people, you have to take it slower. You have to figure out other issues they might be going through. And And in a training sense as well, it's kind of starting to change more. I don't want to use the word functional, but kind of
Yeah,
less
I know what you're saying.
bodybuilding style, locked in movements and more movie stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
It's cool. The thing so again, the podcast is called Man, Muscles and Nonsense. And I do want it to be about muscles and nonsense, but I want it to have a male sort of twist on it because I do think that there's a place. I think there needs to be a place for young men to come, find role models, find out like more about being a man, and not think that you have to be this like categorized as a horrible bloke. Like
Yeah.
we're good guys. Like we don't do all these predatory things that do get like pushed upon like men or like stereotyped as.
Yeah.
And you went through we were speaking about this just before you came on. You went through a spell where you worked with successful males. It was like high performers. What was that like?
So since you said that we should do this podcast, I've been kind of thinking about how you know that I'm surrounded by successful people or that my clients are successful. But yeah, it's pretty insane. The main thing is obviously they're super busy. They tolerate zero bullshit. They're pretty smart. So if you don't argue well, if you don't put your point through in a straightforward manner, they just do whatever the hell they want, because in most things they do, they are way smarter than people around them. And it's interesting, but it's not related to training, how these people consider problems not really as problems, but they kind of know that their job is to solve those problems, so problems don't really upset them, which is a great perspective, I think.
Yeah. And you get amazing results with them.
Yeah, well, thank you.
No, you really, really do. And I think and I guess we could maybe touch on like the excuse of being busy for some people and how you've overcome that, or how you've, and I guess what I don't really want to do, I suppose, is to get too much of your product, but like maybe we could talk about a few little barriers that you're helping people overcome.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I've got a couple of clients that are also in like very successful positions with work. Their level of stress is, and it's constant. What sort of methods and tools do you use? We'll go through first, like for people that are very busy,
Mm-hmm.
and then we could potentially touch on stress.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like the biggest issue is what everyone talks about, is that people don't even realize how lack of sleep is an issue, because we're in the game of pushing hard, not resting, and just really grinding everything down to the ground. And I'll be honest, I can't always help people overcome that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest factor to recovery and stress management. And ultimately, people that do overcome this realize that once they sleep better, they have better performance in every other aspect of life. They have more time for things that they need. They are in better mood. Their cravings are much lower, and they just in general feel better for it.
Yeah. Do you know what I should have introduced you as my nasal strip brother.
Yes. Meanwhile, neither of us have
Oh.
nasal strip. Yeah.
Yeah, my scar. Jesus. It's like taking all the skin, honestly. But I think I just ripped it off too fast. So I don't know, could you give us a couple of examples of like, I don't know, tools that you use to help people improve their sleep, especially if there's someone busy and if that's like an essential, because I'm pretty sure there will be busy males, females listening to this and they're like, I just can't get going. I don't know if there's a bit of advice you give them on helping them like amend or improve sleep.
Right. So I think the lowest entry barrier is getting rid of something. So the biggest thing that you can get rid of that messes up your sleep is caffeine, obviously. So with most clients, I have a caffeine cutoff at around 2 p.m. So ideally 9 hours out of bedtime. So the half-life of caffeine for the listeners is 9 hours. So that means that after you drink your coffee or whatever, 9 hours later, still half of it is circulating in your system. So that makes a huge difference. The second easiest thing to implement is maybe supplementation, basic supplementation. Some people I recommend melatonin to, others just magnesium. What else? I've honestly experimented with everything, and these two were the main ones that helped me, I think.
Yeah.
And then obviously a set bedtime and set wake up time would be high up in the priority list, but it's not as easy to implement. Right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, in these winter months, what I'm doing right now, for example, I'm gifting most of my clients a Lumi lamp, which is something that gradually brightens the room up, and it kind of imitates the sunrise, which makes a huge difference in my life and waking up in the morning. What else? The problem is, we know what to do, right? Tapering down towards bedtime, switching off devices and information coming at us from the outside, putting some blue light blockers on, blah, 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 blah. But busy people don't really want to do this. It doesn't feel like a massive payoff to them. So easier to implement are what I said. We're also nowadays playing with the breathing, what you said as well. Initially, I started using nose strips. But nowadays, I find that if I just tape my mouth, it's pretty much the same effect. So I tape my mouth every night. I think I got this from you, the courage that you knocked me over, because I heard about these crazy people taping up their mouth, and I'm like, that's some like self-kidnapping bullshit. And then you said you were doing it, so I was like, okay, well, if this crazy guy's doing it, then I can try it as well. And it's amazing, like it's incredible. My back pain, honestly, I woke up with back pain for like 10 years, and it's now gone in the mornings. It's crazy.
It is crazy. I read a book, so it was Andrew Huberman. Do you follow him? Huberman Labs?
Loosely.
So I was, during prep last year, I was listening to him, and it was about how to improve sleep, because my sleep's crap. Like, I'm really bad at sleeping. And he was like, you need to read this book, Breathe, or is it Breath? I can't remember. Breath, and then it was like, and Jaws. And I read both of them back to back.
Yeah.
I read both of them, and then I read the Wim Hof book as well.
Okay.
I do not recommend Wim Hof's book. The James Nestor book was, the Jaws one was good, but it's a science book.
Okay.
It's got like diagrams, figures of like people's side profile and how it changes through just doing nasal breathing. And I read it and I was like, And then we've spoke about him as well. Alex, is it Hormozy?
Hormozy, yeah.
Hormozy. I seen him wearing one, and I was like, right, if he's wearing one, I'm going to get one. And I started wearing it, and within days, I slept like all night, and I hadn't done that in, honestly, years. So I was like, right, the next step, I'm gonna tape my mouth.
Yep.
So I actually taped it that way the first time, like right across.
That's how I do it still.
Oh, do you? I just tape.
Okay.
People are going to think we're crazy. People are genuinely going to think we're crazy.
But it's worth it.
So I tape like that.
Okay.
And I just tape now because I can't put a nasal strip on. But the two things that I've noticed is, see, anytime I gain weight, normally my face just balloons. Like I get like big chubby cheeks. But see, since doing this, like I've been able to keep somewhat of a jawline.
All right.
And my face hasn't like blown up. And I sleep better. Like I find that I fall asleep instantly, which is crazy because I'm always stressed. It's like I can't switch off. But yeah,
now that we're
nasal
talking
strips.
about,
What a thing to be talking about. Taping your mouth and putting on nasal strips.
Honestly, mine was the exact same story. Hormozy, nasal strip kind of helped. Nasal strip helped more during the day because I kind of hate that through this nostril, I just can't breathe through. And then it didn't really help much with my sleep. And then I started taping, and that's when my sleep went skyrocketed, basically. So that's why I keep that up. But if we're talking about Huberman and sleep and everything, what I found recently was this NSDR, have you seen that? Non-sleep deep rest.
NSDR. I don't think.
Non-sleep
Is that
deep rest. It's kind of like meditation, but you know how, sometimes when you do guided meditation, it kind of tells you what to focus on, still keeps your mind kind of busy. Whereas NSDR just kind of like doesn't really require any brain activity, so it switches you off more. I find it works really well with people that are just super busy in their minds at night. They can't turn it off. And Huberman says that if you do this, like even after like a disrupted sleep during the day, it's like 15 minutes, and it kind of like gives your nervous system a little bit of a rest. It kind of makes up for some of the lost sleep. I always fall asleep when I do it, so I don't really know, but it's really helpful.
Is that the one when he tells you to like pick a spot on the floor and just stare at it?
No. You're laying down, eyes are closed, and it just kind of guides you through your body, paying attention to relaxing different parts of the body, how your breathing is, what you're making contact with. So really low brain activity things.
I'm going to look that up because I think I'm needing to do something, so I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah. There's a few things that Huberman talks about with like stress. Like, have you heard the sympathetic sigh?
No.
When you breathe in through your nose twice really fast and then breathe out through your mouth. Because, do you know how they normally
when I cry, no? No, but when you cry, you kind of do that, no? No, seriously. Okay, tell me.
So it's to do with your diaphragm. If you take a big breath in, it like compacts your heart, which actually like leads to, I'm sure, like more adrenaline, or like it causes you to like panic. So if you're still getting as much air in, so you can breathe out for as long, and that actually, I'm sure it's like real time alleviates stress.
Okay.
And then another thing that he says you can do is if you look from side to side really fast.
These are some kind of.
I swear, looking side to side really, really fast de-stresses you.
De-stresses you?
And I can't remember why.
It stresses me that I can't look fast enough.
It makes me feel like motion sickness.
Yes. All right. Well, I'll leave that one to Huberman, I think.
Yeah, we'll leave it to him. Yeah, geez, what a man. So with these like high performers, these busy people, you'll try and amend sleep, so that allows them then a bit more time. They're a bit more productive through the day. Their energy levels are a bit higher. Cravings and hunger are probably a little bit lower as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything else that you try and like implement? Like, do you do like minimums and maximums for like the week? Do you give them targets for anything, or is it
so on
just
the
whatever
food
they can
front,
fit in?
On the food front, when I started this whole career, I was like really set on everyone has to macro track, right? And as I gained more experience and realized that everyone doesn't need to macro track or not willing to macro track, I'm now implementing a huge variety of things. So there are people that just have kind of like a protein goal. There are people that come from such a bad background that if they hit their protein goal, like 4 servings of protein, drink enough, go to the gym, that's already kind of a win for them. Other people send me food pictures. There are some on a meal plan kind of thing. There are still many macro tracking. So it kind of varies a lot based on the individual.
Yeah. That's cool. So for those listening, macro tracking is short for macronutrients, which is carbs, fats, and protein. That's like a step up from tracking calories. Not instead of just tracking calories, you're actually tracking how many grams of carbs, fats, and protein you're taking in. And that's like the go-to for most of the fitness industry. Like once they're like at a higher level, like the individuals. Like for yourself, do you macro track or calorie track? Or
I don't track macros anymore. I kind of always have an idea on calories and macros throughout the day. And then eventually when I go into a cut phase and I need to be more accurate with it, probably like a more severe phases, later stages of a cut, then I will track again. But until then, I think I have a pretty good idea from like 5 years of looking at everything, right?
Yeah. And I want to talk a lot about your training because I love how it's going. And I would love to know what the goals are in the future. But with regards to these successful successful people that you work with, this is something that I spoke to Vaughn about a couple podcasts back about. Like, one of the best things about our jobs is being around so much success. Like, you have someone comes in, they're unsure, you believe in them, they then succeed. Is there a difference with your clients when they come in that are already successful? They know how success kind of works, because there is pretty much a blueprint to success. You have a goal, you work pretty hard, you take some steps, and then you get there. Or you overcome barriers along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have, like, is there more patience? Is there a better, like, are they, I don't know, is there anything different that you've noticed between them and general population clients?
I don't want to generalize, because even like obviously successful people vary a lot, but if anything, the patience side definitely on the lower end, because they have everything, right? The only thing they don't have is time, so they can't waste any of it, right? It's interesting to call these kind of people out on their bullshit, right? Because again, there's not many other people that call them out. So when you flip it onto them, it's kind of like a sobering experience to them sometimes. And that's very rarely, it's a kind of a make or break moment in the client relationship as well. Because some people are just so hell-bent on no one telling them what to do that they can't actually change. Whereas others really appreciate that despite their status, you can kind of call them out. What other traits do they have in common? I mean, I feel like when they kind of set their minds on something, they're more likely to actually get there, and little hiccups on the road don't discourage them as much as they might discourage the average public. So in that sense, maybe it's easier to get a result with them. They can be really driven on something and then just focused and going towards a goal. But other lifestyle factors obviously make it a bit more difficult.
So you're in agreement with me that being busy is just an excuse that people throw around?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It just depends what you're busy with, right? You decide what to get busy with.
Yeah. Great, fantastic. Because I honestly, you had a photo shoot was that 2 weekends ago with a client?
No, yesterday, 2 days ago.
Or last weekend?
And then a couple
2
weeks
days ago.
as well.
He looked phenomenal.
Yeah,
do you coach the guy that you sometimes train with?
Train with?
He's like always lean.
I prep. Annoying, right? The Asian guy.
Always lean.
Yeah, insane. He's insane. No, I don't coach him. I prepped him once. We're just friends. Maybe we will work together one day.
That's cool. So let's go on to you. Let's talk a bit more about you, because I think it's fascinating hearing about these success stories, and I genuinely do think it's the best part of our job. Like, we're around so much success with people ticking off little goals, achieving little things each day. Like, we get to see that all the time, and I think it does it feeds us with almost not a toxic positivity, but we almost have this belief that, like, look, yeah, you can do anything as long as you're willing to put a bit of work in. Like,
exactly.
We get to see it. We get to see. On you go.
And I'm not sure how much to believe in that. Like, I can never decide if I'm lucky or if I have this right mindset of what you call toxic positivity, where I think that whatever you want to achieve, if you really want it, you will achieve it. And I'm not sure if I'm just lucky that I've never been really proven wrong before. We'll see.
Yeah, I do. I think and this is one of my favorite things about working with a couple of successful people, like big business owners, people with like big aspirations themselves. When you tell them that you've got a goal, and it could be anything, they're like, "Yeah, I believe you can do it." And it can be like, for me, like I said I wanted to get to a certain amount of clients, and they're like, "Yeah, you'll do that." I said I wanted to build TS Health and Fitness up to something, and they're like, "Yeah, you can do it." And they even like start giving you like tips and pointers.
Exactly, and it's not
and
only,
like you say, maybe lucky.
Not only that, but how analytical their mind is about all these problems. So whereas you just see the problem, they're immediately breaking it down and just reverse engineering on how you could get there. And in their head, it's just everything's so fucking simple, you know? So really, just this whole success thing is something I think that's learned. You know, it's obviously there's a mindset component, and some genetic component. I think there exists, but there's also a huge learning component to it.
Yeah, yeah. One of the guys that I coached, and I've coached for a while now, he helps me a lot with business stuff, and I ask him like, how do I deal with this, or like what's, and he'll always come back to me, and he's like, look, I'm not gonna fucking lie to you, Thomas. I could have done this like 6 months ago, and I'm just like, all right. All the time, he's like, I could have done it 3 times by now. You're just this and that, and he's very much of like there is a blueprint to it. There's just you can take that blueprint and just put it into anything.
Yeah, so what I found really
Some
interesting
guy,
recently is that we just talked about Hormozy, right? And one of his like when Hormozy was doing a big course that he kind of break through with and got famous, one of my clients was doing the same course kind of with him. And he's in a very nice place as well in life. He's running his business a couple millions a month. And the way we talk about business is just like so inspiring that every time he just breaks it down, he gives some kind of blueprint. He has his different methods and he just thinks along those lines, and that's what gets him there. And it's once you learn that kind of thinking, it's easy, but the hard part is learning that kind of thinking and getting rid of all the common misconceptions, right?
Yeah, like the disbelief, the self-doubt. Yeah. I think just if you can get it through that, like, right, I can do this. I'm going to. It's like I always think dieting. When you diet down, it's very similar to like, I don't know, pushing a business or trying to grow a business. Like you do just have to show up and do work each day. But it has to be productive work, and it can't be like over the top so you burn yourself out. It needs to just be like this sweet spot. And if you can find that sweet spot in business, like I do, but at the minute I've not figured out how to get that. Like I can diet and prep quite comfortably, but the business side I just can't seem to get that. I can't get that over the other side. So David, let's talk a bit about, because again, the success, I do love talking about the success stuff. I do. But I want to know more about your current training, because that's also a success story, to be honest.
Oh, geez.
You've pushed up a little bit of weight.
Putting any kind of weight on this frame is a success, I agree. Honestly, I remember, I don't actually remember but how old I was, but I remember celebrating with my mom when I was finally 40 kilograms, you know? So I'm such a hardcore hard gainer. It's pretty painful. So yeah, what should we talk about? Past year, I think.
Talk us through, like, what is the goal? Like, what is your current, like, what is the current goal?
It's actually very similar to what Vaughn told you. He wants to be the biggest dad on the playground, right? I don't want to be the biggest, but I want to be like a decent looking dad that the kid can be proud of. And also, the more muscle you have, the more muscle your kids will have, because it just inherits on that level, that if you have more, they build easier as well. So I don't want the same kind of shit for my kids, where it's so hard for them to build muscle. So I'm just doing my job, building as much as I can in the meantime. Yeah. And it's really putting a deadline.
I wish my dad's.
Yeah.
I wish my dad's muscle directly impact. My dad's massive.
Oh, is he?
Like, yeah, he's like twice as broad as me. But I don't have that. Like, I've got like skinny wrists, like pretty long limbs. Like, honestly, last time I seen him, I was like, Dad, I'm going to try and get bigger. So if you want to start passing on some of those genetics, like, it'd be appreciated right now.
Oh, you're telling me it's not even working? So what am I doing it for? If it doesn't transfer to the kids. Oh.
It might just be me. It might just be me because I want it. So are you going to do another photo shoot? Are you going to compete?
Yeah, so the past year,
how many desire?
I put on like 15 kilos. Yeah. 13, 15,
wow.
Which is pretty cool. I'm still pretty light. I'm 187, so 6'2", and 85, 86 kilos. So still not heavyweight, right? But it's a huge success for me. Especially that it took me eating about over 4,000 calories for almost a year.
Wow.
Which is, it's not nice. Basically, you spend your whole day eating and the other half pooping. And now I'm kind of getting to the point where I've been chubby, on the chubbier side for myself. for long enough that I kind of want to cut down. Also, some people are starting to comment in the gym. Like recently, I posted a picture of myself after my last photo shoot, and someone came up to me and they were like, "Whoa, is that a recent picture?" I'm like, "No, that was last time I was in." And they were like, "Oh well, I didn't expect you to look like this anyway." So these kind of comments are
People are ruthless.
Yeah. So
I feel like that's the worst thing about posting, either when I like photo shoot or competing, because then people are like, "Oh, you're looking amazing, mate," and you're like, "No, this was like, this was a while ago."
Yeah, even better when they talk in past tense and they just say, "Oh, you used to look good. What happened?" Cool.
Cheers.
So I want to cut
So
down.
do you know?
Next year, I think.
And you,
Yeah, around February. Yeah, go on.
Are you going to do a photo shoot or anything, or do you think you'll just diet down a little bit?
Diet down, do a photo shoot, kind of reverse out of it, and then go on a long holiday before we decide to have kids and stuff.
Yeah. How's that journey coming along?
The kid journey?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not trying, but my girlfriend is older. So I'm 28, she's 36. So just as a safety measure, we put some eggs in the freezer in case we need to use them later. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. So we decided that next November we will start trying, which I still feel like it's early for me, but it's definitely on the later side for her.
Hey, that's exciting. So, because again, I didn't fully know what was going on. I didn't know, because I remember seeing you guys done a post. It was beautiful. I think were you doing an injection or?
Yeah, that was for the.
I think
yeah. Daily injections.
Yeah. I remember seeing that and being like,
yeah. She took it so well.
Oh, mate, that is exciting.
Yeah.
So long holiday. Are you guys pushing up to a certain weight before you start dieting in February, or is it with you? Is it just let's see what can go on?
I think we will push a little bit more, maybe reach 90 kilos, very maybe, but higher side of the 80s. From there, let's see until we just probably cut until June. It's probably gonna be like 4 or 5 months at least.
Yeah. Do you find it quite easy to cut?
Very easy. Which is disappointing and it kind of makes me not very credible when it comes to clients, right? And I never know. There's definitely a genetic component to it, but there's also a lot of practice, right? Like I know what to eat. Go on.
You go.
I know what to eat. I know that as soon as I get into a cut, I need to pay extra attention onto my sleep, so I don't burn out. I know how to maximize the volume of foods while keeping calories relatively low, so I don't get hungry all the time. So I probably, as well as the genetic component to it, I probably prioritize well as well.
Yeah. I guess it's a difficult one, no matter how we do it. Whether it is genetics, like no one can be upset with you about that. But like you're saying as well, like 5 years of understanding nutrition, you know how to do it. Mm-hmm. My perk, my body doesn't like losing fat. But my perk is like I can be relentless. So for me as well, like almost gets discredited. Like my clients are like, "Oh yeah, but you don't mind doing an hour on the Stairmaster and then only eating like 1,600 calories," and I'm like, "But it's because I need to do it."
But that's a decision exactly that anyone can make.
I'm good at fat loss. My body's just not good at losing fat.
Right.
It's crap.
But clearly you are outworking it. And people that don't get the same result as you don't get the same result because they don't work as hard.
Yeah. Mate, I'm excited to see what you look like after packing on, the amount of size that you have.
Imagine I cut down and I look the same as 2 years ago.
Do you know what the crap thing is? The crap thing is, see, when I done my second diet last year, that's how I felt until, like, it was almost like the very end, where I like was as lean as I was the last time, and I could put them next to one another, and I was like, oh, actually, no, I have gained size. But the whole way through, I was like, oh, I don't feel any bigger. Oh my god, that was a waste of time. What am I going to do? Like it was. But that's the beauty of this, I suppose.
No, I did do a mini cut, and it was very inspiring to see that even at the same body weight, the shape was completely different. So in this whole year, pretty much, I only focused on kind of like upper chest, shoulders, and a little bit of arms. And this whole top bit just completely changed shape, which is promising. Now I just have to repeat it like 20 more times, and I will approach the shape I'm interested in.
But that's the beauty of this sport. It's like never ending. There's always something. Yeah. Always something. David, I'd love to talk a bit about like stuff away from personal training, fitness, exercise, because you do a fair bit of travel. You go to nice restaurants to eat.
I'd love to have a life outside of personal training, but I don't know how much I can tell you. Honestly.
Yeah. With regards to travel, like, is that just a hobby or is that?
Yeah, it's kind of a hobby, but because I come from an Eastern European country, and then I started working for companies that paid me in knowledge and not necessarily financially, I never really made money, so I never really traveled before. So that's what I'm trying to catch up with now that I'm 28, because I only ever started traveling just before COVID, right? And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
But it's really just catching up, not an obsession.
Yeah, okay. So you just okay. Is there anywhere that you've been recently that you love? Is there anywhere that you recommend going
I actually
to?
love Edinburgh. How does that make you
feel?
Oh,
really? I can see the attraction. I do quite like Edinburgh. I do. I genuinely do. I really like it down Leith. That's like a little strip just off Edinburgh. I don't know if it's classed as Edinburgh, but I like down there. It's really nice down there.
Yeah, there's the seaside part of it, right?
Yeah,
we went there. It was pretty quiet. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if that's maybe why I like it, but Edinburgh, I'm not going to travel there.
I do love Iceland, to be honest. Especially in winter
Iceland.
months. Yeah, although I assume you get proper winter up there, right? Kind of redo this year as well. But usually London winter is like kind of mild, rainy more than anything. So getting to a proper winter destination like Iceland, we did it last year and it was amazing. Have you been?
Yeah. There's a lot of good gyms there as well, is there not?
I don't know. I didn't go there to go to the gym.
Yeah, I think that's just
I went for the pastries.
Oh, don't. That's like my favourite.
Yeah, in Nordic countries especially.
Yeah. Fuck. Oh, man. Now I'm thinking about pastries. Okay, David, right. So what I ask everybody at the end of the podcast, I know you're busy, and I know I had to really bend your arm to get you on. The last question that I ask everybody before they go, what do you think it takes to make a good man?
Oh my God. You're questioning my whole existence.
Exactly.
I think being selfless. Is that stupid?
No, not at all.
Especially I feel like in today's world, everything is being like more self-centered, and it's easier to just like turn inwards more as well, because there's so much like information, people, everything around you. That's life is just so busy that sometimes it feels hard to care about other people. You know, is that just me?
No.
And maybe if you can,
I think that's.
Maybe that's just extreme London.
I think that's. Yeah.
And if you can kind of slow down a bit and take your time with other people, stop to help others, answer annoying questions, just take life a little bit slower maybe, and not only care about how your time is ticking, maybe that makes you a better person.
I'd 100% agree. 100% agree. I think it's a brilliant answer. Genuinely. Like, I think that's maybe like, I got asked, what do I think it was? And I think I would switch mine to be closer to yours. Because I think we live in a world that is very, like you say, turn in. I think a lot of people don't want to just help someone else selflessly. They want to do it for like, oh, look at me, I'm giving this homeless guy some McDonald's. Oh,
Yes.
look
Oh
at my
my God,
fans,
hate
everybody
those.
watch. Like,
Hate those.
you know?
Yeah.
No.
I
I
do
think that's a
think about
freaking brilliant answer.
I do think about this a lot, mostly because of the kid situation, right? Like I never wanted kids this early. I wanted them when I'm like 38 maybe. I always wanted to have my business, have my money, and then have kids when I don't have to decide between prioritizing business or the kids. And clearly that's not how it's
Yeah.
happening. So I think a lot about being selfless and how much you will need to sacrifice for kids. And I don't want to be like one of those people. Like every young parent just thinks that they're like the center of the world because they have a kid and they're so special, whereas everyone had a kid, right? But at the same time, it's pretty special.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, it is. That
What?
human being.
So what was
They're the
your
one in
answer
you.
to the question?
So, like, mine's was been massively influenced since I was in school. A girl said to me, and I remember the quote, I remember where we were and everything when she said it to me. And it was, a man should be able to stand by every decision he makes. And the way I see that is, if say you do something wrong, you should be able to like put your hand up and be like, look, I got that wrong, and I'll tell you why I did what I did. Or if you get it right, like, or if you're like, you think you're right, you should be able to stand by it. Like almost like every action that you take. So if you do something wrong, you should be able to say sorry if you realise, or like you don't just do something to do it. You do it almost not. I wouldn't say it has to be calculated, but you shouldn't do anything that you're going to regret doing, or you shouldn't do anything that you wouldn't be willing to stand by.
Good.
But the thing is, like genuinely, at the end of every podcast, I ask this to people, and everybody said something that I'm like, I love that. Like, I'm going to take that because I have like a mild obsession with like how to live a good life, and it's why like the nasal strip and the tape in my mouth. Like, I know that sleep has a massive impact. So, what's the best way to get sleep? I know that there's nutrition that can impact how you think and feel, and let's get those things. And I'm always trying to think like, and I actually believe that. And this is maybe like a conspiracy theory, hippie sort of thing, that we knew how to live a good life, like how to have a good human existence way years ago. Like I think the monks know, I think there's a part of religion that almost maybe knows. And then that slowly transitioned to like, how do I just be a good man and maybe have some sort of impact on the world that like I could impact people around me in a positive way.
I'm in a weird
And that's
place at
why
the
like,
moment. Go on.
No, on you go. Let me hear about it. Let me hear.
Sorry, I keep interrupting. I don't know if there's a delay or I'm just being an asshole. I'm in a weird place at the moment because I feel like I'm trying to sometimes optimize so many things that I'm just taking the enjoyment out of life. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
Like we can't
And
always
I
exist in
think,
nasal strips and mouth
yeah,
tape and glasses and always optimal sleep and always nutritious food, and there's not a lot of fun. So I'm trying to find a balance.
yeah. A thing that I think about a lot, like with in regards to that, is I'm thinking about doing the thing as opposed to doing the thing. Does that make sense? I'm thinking about it like, oh, this should be happening, this, then this needs to lead to this, to this, to this. Whereas if I just like, do you know how they say like a state of flow? Like if I was to just like let it just happen, it would probably be better because then I'm getting like wound up. Like my old morning routine used to be wake up, I would meditate, then I would journal, then I would go make a coffee. But what I was finding myself doing is I was like getting stressed out, like trying to cram this hour in before I started my day, that it was just like having like the opposite impact is what it was. Like, yeah. I'm totally on the same page as you. Like, I think I'm trying too hard to optimalize or be optimal across the spectrum as opposed to like enjoy it.
With nutrition, with training, with your business, always the same contemplation. Because with the business as well, like how much do I want to really push it? How much is enough for you to like be able to still balance life out, but have like a nice income and a nice impact. Because all these people that have a massive impact and a lot of money, I guarantee that they have mental issues as well. Like, why didn't you quit when you had 1 billion or 100 million? You know, why do you need to push to 60 billion?
Yeah. And again, I guess there's like, another thing that ties into that is like it's an extremes thing. Like, you've got people like, oh, what's his name? The guy that's like just grind, just hustle, work 24/7, and then you've got
Gary
people on the other end of the spectrum that are like, that's it, Gary V. He's like, go, just hustle, work. And then you've got people on the other end that are like, just take it easy, be creative, make the thing that you want to, just enjoy life. And I feel like I'm constantly like back and forth. Like I do this for a while and then I start to burn out, and then I'm like, am I being a wimp? Am I being a maggot? Like, do I need to like push harder, persevere through this, burn myself out more? Is burnout even a thing and I'm just making it up? Or then I go to the other end and I'm like, just chill out. And then I'm like, but when I start chilling out, I'm like, I feel amazing, but I should probably be working harder.
You feel amazing. As soon as I chill out, I feel guilty.
Yeah. Like, well, I chill out and it's like a day off. Like, yeah, needed this.
Right.
But I could be doing something.
Yeah.
And it's... I guess I don't know. I don't have the answers to these things.
I hope we find the balance sooner than later.
Yeah, I doubt I will, to be honest.
Maybe that is your balance.
But I'll try. Well, that's a big thing for me.
Yeah.
A big thing for me, David, is like every day I'm like excited to do it. So I've maybe found like, and you know, I also get a bit of like, and people are going to think I'm insane when I say this. There is something about like pushing myself to that like burnout point. And it's the same thing I like about prep. Like, I like pushing to the point where it's like so hard that like I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but I like push it. Like, I like to push and I like to squeeze and see what I can get away with. It's the same as training. Like, I like to train to that point where it's like, oh, I'm getting a bit lightheaded. Mm-hmm. Could I do one more rep? Oh, maybe not. I'll stop. And I don't know. Maybe that's a good trait. Maybe it's a bad thing. Maybe it's stupid.
But that's why we're wearing this,
maybe
right? This top that says discipline is not a dirty word.
Yeah. I still love that. And every time I go on, I don't think they have like the size that I'd need.
Extra, super large?
Yeah. Because I like things to be kind of baggy. Like, this is like one of the tightest things I own, but I like things to be kind of baggy. But right, David, I'm gonna let you get off. Honestly, absolutely brilliant having you on. I've loved chatting, and I wonder if we maybe do get on again and chat about like being optimal sometime, and we talk about all the little daft things that we know and we've heard and we've tried. And honestly, and I'm sure everybody that's listening would love to hear that. And your definition of being a man is going to stick with me for a while, a long time, forever. But honestly, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. What I'll do is I will get all your information, website, Instagram, social medias, and I'll link them underneath. So if anybody does want to have a look at the amazing transformations and photo shoots that you've had with clients, hear your information. The thing is, guys, the people that I'm getting on are on similar wavelengths to me, so it may sound like he's saying very similar things to me. I've not paid him. He's not copying me. We're just on the same page. So
that's why we're friends.
I'll put everything down below if you want to have a listen. Right. Thanks again, David.
Thank you.